Thank you, Madam Clerk and Deputy Clerk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Clearview Township Council meeting for Monday, April the 28th, 2025. It is just after 5:30 p.m. Council did already meet at 4 o'clock for our in-camera session. We had a brief recess, and now we have returned for our 5:30 session. So I want to welcome all the members of our staff and also members of the public that have joined us here today in the chambers. It's always great to have people here to join us. At this time, I'd like to begin our meetings by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tsimshian, the Wendat, and it's the home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, a part of the intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. And as always, I say this voluntarily, and I'm happy to do so as the Mayor of the Township of Clearview. Okay, everybody, welcome again. And on our agenda, item number 1 was our move to go in camera. So we're going to start our agenda at item number 2. And item number 2 is the approval of the agenda for this meeting. Recommendation be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated April 28th, 2025 as presented. Councillor Deneen, thank you. Councillor Walker, thank you. Any questions on the agenda? Members of Council? Seeing none? I'll call the motion. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Declarations of pecuniary interest. Yes, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will not be participating in the voting of the minutes from April 14th as I was absent from that council meeting.
All right. Thank you very much. You can just stay right there, though. You don't have to leave the meeting or anything. Nothing further from members? Thank you. Council, we're going to go to public participation period. And at this time, since we have a full house, I will read the full script. It says, be advised that comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Each participant is limited to public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation, or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting, or any item considered confidential. And please remember at all times to please share the time with your fellow citizens. So we'll start by looking to our Deputy Clerk. Deputy Clerk, did we receive any electronic participations for this meeting?
Thank you, Worship. There were no submissions that met the criteria for tonight's agenda.
All right. Thank you very much then. So we'll then go directly to the floor. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward to speak during public participation period? I see Jim's raised his hand. Come right up and say your name, sir. Is that microphone working? Let's do a little test there first.
Test.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. My name is Jim Campbell. I'm a member of Clearview's Climate Action Advisory Committee. And thank you, Mayor Measures, and hello to staff and council. And I just wanted to, there will be a delegation today by Clearview Sustained Building Network. And for those of you that may not be aware, I just went back. This was a topic, the whole thing of habitat gardens and the relationship to our municipal bylaws was something that was discussed at the Climate Action Advisory Committee. And through your worship, there was a suggestion that this is something that Clearview Sustainability Network might want to take on. And the whole idea of the network, as you probably know, is to support council and to support staff. And I just hope that everybody, like, it's quite a wonderful documents put together. Brenna, that will be presenting here, put a ton of work into this, and really it's for the benefit of council and staff to peruse this document, I think, because it's incredibly thorough work, above and beyond all expectations, I think, and just shows a level of professionalism that I hope will be admired and made use of. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jim. All right. Is there any other members of the public that have questions they'd like to bring forward during public participation period? Yes, no? Oh, hi there. Come forward. Come forward, state your name.
My name is
Don't
Susan.
be afraid. It's all good.
Thank you. My name is Susan Rundle. I've been in this area for 3 years. While I've been here, I've noticed the garbage containers that go for apartments, for houses and apartments, the wheeling ones. There's an issue with some departments only having one container because when they were first handed out, the landlord had a choice of how many to get. Apparently, this is what I've been told. And maybe he only said 1 or 2. And now he has more apartments and we are not able to get more, enough for the people that are there.
Oh,
I've been hitting brick walls and so there's kind of a problem with people putting garbage in other places instead of,
well, we don't want that, do we?
no, and
No.
it's happening, unfortunately.
Are you speaking about the county of Simcoe bins? Remember the garbage and recycling?
Once, yes,
Yeah, the wheeled ones.
yes.
So that's entirely operated by the county of Simcoe. It's not actually operated by this council.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
Yeah,
understand.
so, but
Okay.
we can certainly get you the phone number or you can look it up online. It's pretty easy. It's Simcoe, Service
I've spoken
Simcoe.
to them. I have spoken to
Oh, you
them.
have?
And I was told there isn't much we could do. The landlord can approach them and he has. He's been shot down.
Oh,
So,
can you advise the landlord to reach out to myself and the deputy mayor as we're members of county council and perhaps we can assist with that?
then thank you. I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah,
I think he kind of feels like he's.
I
But I've
understand.
noticed there's other buildings where many people live and there's only one garbage receptacle. And so people have been dumping into dumpsters where
Yeah.
they are owned by other people. And that's another issue that
Yeah.
we're working on too.
Okay, I can assure you that the County of Simcoe Council take waste management very seriously as a result of the fact that we have long debates and discussions about waste management programs at the county. So they'll be very interested to hear about this. And I know that we have discussed multi-residential units and how we operate them. So we'll certainly look forward to discussions with Service Simcoe and perhaps the management staff there. If you could make sure that they get in touch with us, that'd be great.
I will. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
I think Paul wanted to say something. Our deputy mayor,
Sure.
go ahead, Paul.
As the mayor was talking about, waste management is a big issue right now within Simcoe County. And just for your information, at the end of this year, all recycling will be going back and be taken care of by the manufacturers. So we are in a bit of a conundrum right now. Of
Yes,
how
we
many
are.
trucks are going to be going down the road? We also have a big issue in the, I won't call it the urban settlement area, what we call the Main Street areas. Because in the past, a lot of we've been trying to pick up garbage and stuff like that. And then the county is basically saying as of the end of this year, that may not happen again. Most dumps will be full by the end of 2027, I believe is the number. And we will be strictly in a transfer situation. So that our garbage will be either going for incineration or it's going out of our community anyways, just put it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on right now. As far as, if your landlord had refused to take them at one time, I can't tell you that. I don't know, but it's,
That's what I,
there's a lot of history here that we're dealing with today. So please, as Doug says, reach out to us and we will see, do we get in touch with the right people? And if there was reasons, especially when we're dealing with secondary dwellings within the same, on the same property, it's challenging at times, so, okay?
quite awful.
Yeah. We're going to go through some changes yet, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Places. May I ask you also, when it comes to all our stores are going to be going up to the other end, our groceries, dollar store and that, will there be a sidewalk for pedestrians to go on? To walk for that extra bit there?
Yes, there is, if you went down Mowat Street and then the sidewalk is on the
You go down.
inner road. I've just forgotten the name of that road. It's kind of a new road. What's it called?
Grand Trunk,
No, not Grand Trunk. It's Junction Road.
Junction Road.
Thank you.
So-
Staff all know this. I haven't been down there for a while. Junction Road, sidewalks all the way down there, yes. And of
people
course, that
can-
takes you off the highway too.
It'll take us off the highway. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
that.
Yeah.
I'll let people know because people have been asking me and
Oh, listen, it's one of the questions I get asked a lot. When's the food land opening? And it's interesting because the existing food land, my wife told me that they've actually have less product on their shelf right now because they're kind of slimming down, getting ready for the move, right? So, yeah, it's exciting that they're going to be moving out there. But thanks for your question.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Paul, you had something else?
I was just going to tell you, I don't know if you're aware, last year, our council, at the request of people, we went and put a bit of a sidewalk along Mowat Street to get the kids safer until the sidewalks were done. And so now.
Yeah, there's a sidewalk there right now.
With-
It's just not asphalt.
Yeah.
It's crushed stone.
Crushed stone. And so they've realigned the river has now been straightened out with all the approvals. And we're hoping within the next, Dan, if I say the next year, we're getting the whole realignment of that street done, which will include the intensification. So.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Wonderful. Yes, there's a lot of people moving in that area now.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much for your question. Nice to have a good chat. Welcome to the community. Is there other members of the public who wish to speak? I'm totally good if somebody else wants to come up. No? All right. Thank you very much for your public participation. That was excellent. Now we're going to go to item 6, public meetings. There are none. However, we do have item number 7, which has our approval of the county, missed it. County, item number 5. I was moving straight ahead here. I thought, why is that not here? And it's over there, you see, because it's, okay. Let's see. Item number 5 is our delegation presentation. At this time, the Clearview Sustainability Network, boulevards, bylaws, butterflies, and bird presentation. There we go. Hey, Brenna. Alan's going to join, is that
Alan's
right?
Joining, yeah,
Alan's jumping in on this too?
yeah, Alan's getting a piece of the
All
pie. Okay, I'm probably too loud for this microphone. but
No, please go right
probably
ahead.
Okay. Don't want to scare you all out of here. Good evening, your worship, council, staff, everyone who showed up tonight. It's lovely to be here again, getting used to this place, which is great. We're here tonight basically just to do a brief introduction of the report that I sent to council on March 6th, just before I went away, which is the report that Jim just said some very kind words about. So we just thought we'll give you a little oral executive summary of that here tonight. So just for those who are not that familiar with me, very quickly, I'm a local mom and a resident of Creemore, and I lead the nature and biodiversity arm of the Clearview Sustainability Network, which I've written this report on behalf of. And I'm also an environmental scientist and a keen gardener with an interest in how landscapes, urban landscapes in particular, can help promote and protect biodiversity. And I've actually had a lot of experience writing recommendation reports for governments and other organizations in my professional career, having prepared them for Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, the United States Department of Agriculture, the International Energy Agency, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, and others. So I've had some practice at this, and I'm hoping that you will find the report that I prepared for Clearview on behalf of CSN and with the input of lots of wonderful people to be helpful as you review bylaws and how they fit in with and best support sustainability goals. Alan?
Hello, and thank you for having us. So my name's Alan Riddle. I'm a recently retired accountant and a resident of Clearview, specifically Creemore. I'm also the treasurer for the Clearview Sustainability Network. I'm not a gardener. I don't have all the expertise that Brenna does, but in my occupation as accountant, I'm very used to reviewing reports and contracts, and that's what I brought to the table here. So I've critiqued her report and gone through it as well as the bylaws and everything. So I've got my 2 cents worth in there. So got a first slide up there. So the Clearview Sustainability Network that both Brendan and I are members of is an inclusive and optimistic citizen-led group bringing together diverse members of our community to help our local government adapt and evolve in the face of a changing climate. We are not-for-profit network and everyone is welcome. To date, we have about 180 members that work together towards a sustainable and vibrant future for Clearview. We're also affiliated with a lot of the sustainability networks in the region, including Blue and Wasaga and Collingwood and others. So So as far as the, Jim already talked about sort of how this came from CAC, but I'm going to take you back just a little over a year ago. It was when this topic was actually first introduced. The Sustainability Network brought in Lorraine Johnson to do a presentation on April 24th, 2024. And she actually did two sessions. She did one in the afternoon that was based more on the bylaws and some of the obstacles for Boulevard Gardens. And I believe Phyllis and Paul were both there. And I didn't get a chance to talk to Phyllis. It was the first time I actually had a chance to meet with Paul, and we had a great discussion after it all. And then we had a lot of issues with Boulevard Gardens, specifically in the Creemore area. But so there's been a lot of discussion that's happened both at council and outside of since then. Then the ACT was tasked, and they came back to Brenna, who put together this report. And then there was an event that was held for a panel discussion that was held on February 6th at Station in the Green. And we had a pretty good turnout for that, even though the weather wasn't too great. There's about 100 people there. And the panel consisted again of Lorraine Johnson. We had Shannon Stevens there from NVCA. Brenna was there. Amy and Dan both participated in it. And then we also had, again, a good attendance from council and staff. John Ferguson was there. Paul was there. Robert was there. Marty was there. And it was a good event, and we've had a lot of favorable feedback. And now we're to this stage.
I'm sorry, I was unavailable to be there now that you've listed off who was there, as I was
It's
out of
okay.
the country.
Yes, you were.
That's okay.
But there was still great attendance by council and staff, so we're very appreciative of it.
Okay, so now this is the part that I like to do. I don't like to talk about myself, but I like to talk about gardens. So just briefly, why is this important? Why are boulevard and naturalized gardens important? Many reasons, but I'm going to try to get through this all very, very quickly. So boulevard and naturalized gardens provide so many social, economic, and environmental benefits. Obviously, they're fantastic for biodiversity. And as we know, pollinator and bird species are in decline, some quite strikingly so. And habitat creation is essential. And, you know, we know the pressures of development going on. We've got a lot of growing that we're going to do here in Clearview. We're going to have a lot more subdivisions. And each of those individualized properties presents an opportunity for not just taking away habitat, but creating habitat and allowing the people who own those properties to help steward that habitat in the space around them. And of course, climate change is also increasing. We've got a lot more droughts happening. We have a lot more flooding as well. So you're kind of swinging between various different climate extremes. And green infrastructure like planting plants that are drought resistant and planting plants that absorb more water and infiltrate it into the ground are really good low impact development techniques to sort of mitigate those impacts and also, or to adapt to those impacts and also to mitigate climate change, because when you have low maintenance native landscapes, they require less mowing or no mowing really, and just less water. You don't need to water. I've never watered any of my native plant gardens. So just there's a lot of benefits, and it's a no cost really, low cost response to the climate crisis and the biodiversity crisis. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to say too that we are in an agricultural community, obviously, and everybody knows how important pollinators are for many of the crops that we grow. And I just put this up here because it's been in the news lately, the last month, that in the United States right now, there's been sort of a catastrophic collapse in honeybee colonies, up to 70% for a lot of beekeepers and farmers. And you know, I'm more interested really in native pollinator species. We have 400 native bee species and also obviously butterflies and other pollinators. But when things start happening to the bees that we're trying to farm, you can imagine what's happening in the environment around you. There's a lot of pressures on these organisms, and the more we can do to help them out, the better we'll all be. Next slide, please. And also, obviously, truth and reconciliation is very important. We all know that. And this is just a quote from the final report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. So reconciliation between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Canadians from an Aboriginal perspective also requires reconciliation with the natural world. If human beings resolve problems between themselves, but continue to destroy the natural world, then reconciliation remains incomplete. So that's just something to think about when we're talking about bringing back some of the native plants and landscapes to our urban spaces. Next slide, please. So that brings me to this report. So it is a 45-page report, so it is rather long, but it begins with an executive summary. So for people who don't get past the executive summary, you'll at least get the meat and bones of it in there. But it's meant to have different sections that you can dip in and out of as if you're reviewing the bylaws, if you're making recommendations, or if you're just interested. So everything is laid out and should be easy to read and easy to refer to. And I must say that I did not prepare this myself. It was prepared in consultation with various experts and leaders from other jurisdictions as well. I just kind of built on the back of work that a lot of wonderful people had already done. And the purpose is to inform the process of bylaw creation and bylaw reform, and also to make it be helpful so that staff and councillors who are going through this process of considering bylaws and how they might better align with sustainability can have more information before them, rather than having to go digging around and finding it all themselves. And yes, so a huge amount of work has gone into this. And I hope it's helpful for you. Next slide, please. You don't have to read all of this. I just pulled out the table of contents so that we could see this is how we've laid the report out and the different sections that we have. So it goes through, again, why this is important and how we've ended up with traditional turf grass lawns being the most common and favored by these bylaws type of landscaping, not just here in Clearview, but in municipalities across the country. And there's a section on constitutionality. There have been some cases, mostly in Toronto, where legal precedents have been set to show that certain sections of certain bylaws are actually in opposition to some charter rights on freedom of expression. So you can have a look at those if you're interested. And so we go through naturalization myths, municipal models from other cities and municipalities, and other opportunities that these gardens can bring. So there's all kinds of stuff packed into there. Next slide, please. Okay. So it's important to just set out a definition of what we mean by boulevard gardens and naturalized areas. Naturalized area might be a slightly less well-known term. So the boulevard garden obviously is a garden on the township-owned strip of land between a person's property line and a street. It might be, have a sidewalk in between the property and the boulevard, or it might be continuous, which is where the property owner's yard just seamlessly flows into the boulevard, and somewhere along the line there's that border that you can't really see. A naturalized area is a portion of the yard or landscape that mimics the natural ecosystem and uses native plants to support biodiversity and other ecosystem services. So if you take a chunk of your lawn and you make it into more of a tall grass prairie or a native plant garden, that would be considered to be a naturalized area with species that are native to the area and that provide the kinds of ecosystem services that our native species require. Next slide, please. So we sort of split this in two. So we're talking about boulevard gardens, but we're also talking about private property bylaws and how they could be revised to better support these more biodiverse landscapes should people wish to plant them in their yards. So right now, at this moment, I'm just talking about the Boulevard Garden recommendation. There's a growing popularity of boulevard gardens across cities and municipalities. And I actually spoke with Craig Robertson of Mississauga, who's the supervisor of permits. And well, he has a longer title than that, Permit Admin Services and Storm Locates. And he's in charge of administering the permit process that they have in Mississauga for Boulevard Gardens. So I had a nice long conversation with him. And he said that he had recently been to a right-of-way conference, which sounds very exciting. And he said it was. He said, I highly recommend it. So if anybody wants to go or has, I don't know, maybe you go to that every year. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it comes highly recommended by Craig. So we'll take his word for it. But he had just been to one when I spoke to him, and he said that one of the big topics of discussion was boulevard gardens because everybody was talking about them. So he said it was really quite interesting and fascinating listening to everybody talk about it. So we currently don't have a bylaw or guidance from Clearview Township that is related to boulevards in specific. And property standard bylaws actually exempt boulevards. So really we're in this bit of a space right now where there isn't anything to let property owners know what they can do with a boulevard adjacent to their property and what they can't do. There's not really anything that clearly defines that. So we are advocating for a bylaw that specifically allows for boulevard gardens. And there's been some agreement from the township that this would be a good thing as well. We would advocate for something, and this is in talking to people in other municipalities who are administering these sorts of bylaws already, would be something that is simple and is not too onerous, or is not onerous really at all for resident gardeners or for township staff to administer, because the more layers you put into something, the more difficult it is to administer that. Is based on current science and existing fact-based guidance for things like sightlines and health and safety, is not unnecessarily restrictive, and encourages native plantings and discourages the planting of invasive species. And we also passed along, I think, maybe a letter from the recommendations from CAO, Andrew McNeil from Wasaga Beach, who they've gone through this process already, who advocated for a simple bylaw, and their bylaw is really quite simple. It said, if you start there, if you end up with problems, you can always add things on later on, but it's better to start with something that's easy to administer. Mississauga is one of the more onerous bylaws on paper, and because it has a permitting process. But in reality, after talking to Craig, he says very few people have ever been denied a permit in the 5 years they've been doing it. There's no requirements for insurance. Nobody has requirements for that. And it's actually, he said, been a very positive experience for Mississauga over the last 5 years. So there's a lot of useful examples out there, municipalities. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel. It's all out there. So you can just sort of pick and choose what you think makes sense from what people have done already and what might make sense for Clearview. So.
Excellent. So after having said that we should have a simple boulevard bylaw, attached in Appendix B in the report is a not so simple bylaw. So what we did is we included a sample bylaw. It includes definitions and guidance based on standard definitions, existing roadside safety guidelines, and examples from other jurisdictions. It is more complex than some municipalities have adopted, and it could definitely be simplified for ease of implementation reference, but we wanted to provide an example that was a bit more comprehensive. So basically you guys can go into it and decide what components you want to keep, what components you may not want to keep, but we have everything in front of you to choose from. So don't look at Appendix B and think that it's too much, because we're just trying to give choices. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Now, this is the part that I got into here with the problems with the existing private property bylaws. So right now we looked at two bylaws, the 1144 and the bylaw 1798. The 1144 was the clean and clear bylaw, and the 1798 was the property standards. And there's lack of clear definition and some complicated language, but the thing that I found most interesting is that in both bylaws, there are specific exemptions excluding the lands or properties owned by the corporation of the township of Clearview, which would include all the boulevard from these bylaws. So as it sits right now, there are no rules about what you can and can't do in the boulevard. Township can go in and cut it down, but there really is, like, I come from, I've always believed that, you know, that under the assumption that you're responsible for maintaining your property right up to the road. That's cutting it. If you have a sidewalk there, you're supposed to shovel it. That doesn't apply here. Really, people have no responsibility, as it's written, for maintaining the boulevard in front of their property, which I think is a bit of a problem. If everybody were to decide to ignore it all, then there'd be a large cost to the township to maintain it, but it also would look like it just look like atrocious. So now, when we go through some of this thing, there's one thing I'll state is this isn't just an issue for Clearview. Most bylaws in many municipalities they're outdated, and there's a wider campaign to change these bylaws in many municipalities. So this isn't just something that is specific to Clearview or that we're just not doing as good a job as other places, not by any means. But when you go through the bylaws, and I've gone through them repeatedly, there is a lack of clear definition. What is a weed? You allow neighbors to attempt to control other neighbors' landscaping choices based on subjective aesthetic preferences, not health and safety concerns. So what is a weed? You know, it's somebody might, if a rose is growing where it's not supposed to grow, it could be considered a weed. And it also favors turf grass and more diverse, ecological friendly and climate resilient native ground covers over anything else. And again, from a water perspective, sustainability perspective, drought tolerant, not the best thing to put down. So. And the last bit is the quote from the Municipal Act. Runs counter to the municipal responsibility to protect the environmental well-being of the municipality, including respecting climate change. That's right out of the Municipal Act. Next slide.
Okay. That is not the face of a man we know. It was a stock gift, just in case anybody's wondering. I'm not meaning to imply that there's a really annoying man out there. But I pulled out a few points from bylaw 1144, just to illustrate what we mean by how vague and problematic this bylaw is. Many more examples I could have pulled out, but so point 3.5, no owner shall permit grass or other herbage to become insufficiently cut or trimmed. So as to exceed 30 centimeters, 12 inches in height, whether dead or alive, or to allow the harboring of mosquitoes and other annoying insects, to allow the ripening of weeds and other noxious plants, or to present an untidy appearance to the public. So first of all, what is herbage? This is a question. It's a strange word. I think that it refers to maybe what farmers used to grow in their fields for hay. I'm not sure, but it leaves anyone looking at the bylaw with a lot of questions about whether they're growing herbage or whether they're growing something else. Like, would my hydrangea be considered herbage? Probably not. But my New England asters, being a native plant that you can sometimes find on the roadside as well, because they grow well there, would that be considered herbage? So it leaves a lot of questions, and it's quite vague. And what is an annoying insect exactly? That one looks quite annoying. But that's very subjective as well. If somebody doesn't like bees and finds bees annoying, should we not be attracting bees? Because, you know, I write in the report that it would be highly inadvisable to eradicate them from the landscape because some people find them annoying. And mosquitoes are not attracted to native plant gardens. They're attracted to standing water. So that's a completely different, you know, by planting native plants, you're not attracting mosquitoes. To allow for the ripening of weeds and other noxious plants. Again, what is a weed? What is a noxious plant? There are resources we could point to say there are plants on these lists here, like the Weed Act, Ontario Weed Act has a specific list of noxious weeds, but we don't do that in these bylaws. We just leave it out there for people to decide. And then, of course, one neighbor is telling you that you're growing a weed and you're saying, no, this is a keystone pollinator plant. And, you know, it's the type of argument that this bylaw does not resolve. And then to present an untidy appearance to the public, this is where it becomes very aesthetic and where people's opinions are very different. And you end up with one person's opinion, you know, whose opinion trumps another person's opinion. And, you know, bylaws should be based on health and safety, and that that is a difficult one to, you know, have a bylaw officer go out and manage that sort of a complaint. So you can't see, don't worry about that. That's a direct screenshot from the report, just to show you that what we did was we laid out, that's just a small section of this table, all the clauses, the problematic clauses in the bylaw in the left-hand column, a summary of why they're problematic in the center column, and then some suggested revisions to wording in the column on the right-hand side, and ways that that could be remedied by changing the wording. Next slide, please. So there's two options for revising these outdated bylaws. One is the more complicated option, which is to change all the problematic language, which is what we set out to do in that table as a suggestion. The other option is to include, and some municipalities have done this, to include a naturalized areas exemption in the bylaw. So the bylaw stays the same, but you have a clear definition of what a naturalized area is, and that becomes exempt from such things as 30 centimeters for grass, et cetera, et cetera. So those are two options for how to deal with that. Thank you. And just to be clear, naturalization does not equal neglect. So it doesn't mean that turf grass should be able to just grow as high as people would like it to grow. But if you've got a patch of, say, big blue stem, which is a native grass that provides cover for 24 species of songbirds, provides food for many species and nesting areas for many species as well. That's a grass, but that could be in a naturalized area that's exempt from that 30 centimeter guidance for turf grass. And it doesn't mean that people should be allowed to grow noxious weeds in their property. So again, there's regulations about noxious weeds. And of course, you know, each municipality has the power to add any plants to that which are problematic in the area. And you can refer to that and say, these are the plants that you cannot grow, you know. We'd argue too that there's some common invasive plants that it would be great to encourage people not to grow as well. So naturalized gardens can also be more palatable for the public if they incorporate cues to care. So things like signage saying that, you know, I'm a pollinator garden, this is why I'm here. Pathways for intentionality, some garden decor, a bird bath, bird house, things like that, that make it clear that you're doing something intentional and you are maintaining that place, even if it looks a bit different than your mulched rose garden, that it's a valid garden and it's got an important place. It's not something you've left, you know, for whatever reason, because you're lazy or whatnot. And they can be very beautiful as well. So there, you know, for every person who thinks that a native garden looks messy to them, there's others who think it looks beautiful. So it's a completely subjective thing, but there's ways to make, you know, cues to care that makes it more palatable for everyone, no matter what their tastes are. Next slide, please. And as Alan mentioned, this isn't just us coming to you here in Clearview Township to talk about this. There's people all over across Canada who are doing this right now under the guidance of the Bylaws for Biodiversity campaign. which was started by the David Suzuki Foundation, the Canadian Wildlife Federation, the Canadian Society of Landscape Architects, and the Ecological Design Lab at Toronto Metropolitan University, and then Lorraine Johnson, who's come twice to speak to us here, and who also helped me, gave me some feedback on my report. And they also, it's worth noting, well, they wrote an open letter to municipalities for people to send to their municipality asking for these changes, but they also provide resources, and they also do webinars for councils so that council members can ask questions and have some of their concerns addressed and maybe get some guidance there. So I don't know when the next one is, but they do hold them every so often. So we are in line with this wider campaign. And these are changes, again, bylaws across Canada are outdated and need to be changed as we come to realize, as we learn more about what we need to do to protect the nature around us. And so those changes are happening, which is great. And there's lots of resources out there. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the, these are mostly larger municipalities. There's a couple smaller ones, mostly cities, but that have instituted changes in either their bylaws for private property or for boulevard gardens. So for naturalizing properties or for allowing for boulevard gardens. So in the report, there's links that you can just click that goes to all of these different policies and guidance, and anything that these municipalities have put out, you can find in the online version of the report, and you can just click and go and see what they've done. So I didn't interpret them for anybody. You can interpret them yourself, but all the links are there to follow up. Thanks, please. And so, yeah, that's hard to see too, but that's okay. I just wanted to sort of end by saying, the new official plan of the Township of Clearview is fantastic. So well done, everybody, for making such a fantastic official plan. And I went through that plan and created a table that on the left-hand column, there's the, what would you call them? Goals? Are they goals or are they, anyway? The different points in the plan, and on the right hand column, I've written how boulevard and naturalized gardens can help to achieve those goals and how they align. And so I just put a few examples up there, but there's a big table, so there's a lot of alignment. So if you want to have a look at it, there's many different points where they align. So the writing is very small on my thing as well. I think maybe I'm at the age where bifocals would be useful. Will your bifocals work for me? Okay, so natural heritage features, maybe you can see them, where the restoration of a full unbroken natural heritage feature or area linkage is not possible, the township will encourage the use of a stepping stone approach that provides a series of separate habitat patches to facilitate the movement of species, which is exactly what urban pollinator gardens do. Many of these pollinators will not travel more than 1 kilometer. And so if you provide them with a stepping stone, they can make it from one side, their populations can make it from one side of the town to the next. Again, with all the development happening, it's particularly important as we cut off more habitats that we create habitat to replace that. Community design. Diversity in design means designing spaces in a way that acknowledges the different lifestyles, beliefs, and preferences that people might have. It means making space for individuality while promoting respect for others. So allowing people to landscape in a way that brings them joy and that they feel is important, rather than insisting that everybody conform to the same style of landscaping, fits in very well with that particular goal. Infrastructure and municipal services. So water and wastewater services, the township shall promote water conservation and efficient use of water. not everybody waters their lawns. We don't water our lawns, but a lot of people do. And it takes a tremendous amount of water. But when you plant these gardens, you don't ever have to water them, even in prolonged periods of drought. So allowing for these different types of vegetation that don't require inputs of township water helps to reduce stress on our water system as well. And landscape design, landscaping should make use of native, so specifically right here, landscaping should make use of native plant species that are appropriate for existing and future site conditions and suitable for all seasons. So that doesn't require any more explanation. The township recognizes the importance of these native plants, just like we do. So we see a really fantastic opportunity to empower citizens to help increase sustainability and protect sustainability across this township, even as we continue to grow and develop. Okay, last slide. So we just like to thank council, staff, the Climate Action Advisory Committee, and residents of Clearview who, for all of your interest, your attention, and your input throughout this process. We've really appreciated having all these opportunities to come and talk to everybody about this and to share our knowledge and get feedback. And we look forward to continuing to work with staff on these and other policies for the betterment of our community and our environment. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Brenna and Alan. Thank you so much for your presentation and the hard work, obviously, that you put into preparing this this information. We appreciate it. I am of the age that I do wear bifocals. Took me a while to
think I
get
am
used to
too.
them, but I'm really glad that I am. So just accept the fact.
I discovered it tonight. This is the night I realized, so it will forever be ingrained in my mind. The night I
All right.
realized I was getting older.
I do know that our staff are working very diligently on this, and I had a conversation with our CAO, and he's affirmed with me that we're getting very close to having that prepared. So I know that your information was received, and I know that it's been very helpful to our staff, for sure. So perhaps before I go to questions from the floor here, I could maybe ask if our CAO or Dan, who's also working on it, do you fellows have any input you'd like to say about the timeline on when you think this bylaw could be presented to council? Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. We were planning on having it on May 12th, but we're looking at it a little further with the clerk's office, so it'll be at the end of May is when we plan on bringing it to council. So
Okay.
I think it's May 26th is the council
26th,
meeting
is
date.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at aiming at right now. So there we go. So that's good news. Does anybody from the council wish to ask any questions? I've made a few notes, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? I want to go right back to the start. Brenna, you said that you are a keen gardener.
Yes,
All right. So do you have gardens all over your property?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
great. I think I've heard you say in this room before that you you have areas for your kids to play that are still kind of grass, and you kind of still look after that a little bit
Yeah.
on your property. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I just want to clarify that.
Mhm.
And I appreciate, Alan, you saying that you're not a gardener.
My wife is a gardener.
Excellent.
We
It's a
have
gardening
great
family.
gardens.
You sound like an excellent husband. Well done, sir. As am I. I'm not a gardener either. I let my beautiful wife deal with that, and she loves it. So it's wonderful. Okay. Just want to speak about the panel discussion that happened on February the 6th. I know that I had asked if it was possible, Jim, I think I'd asked you whether it would be recorded, and I have not yet seen it. I wondered if it was available, or do you have it somewhere? And I still want to have a review of that sometime. You can make that available to me, Jim, or? Well, you can show it to me privately. How's that?
I think you can see it private.
Fair enough. I just wanted to know if it was available. The comment that you put in your presentation about the bee losses in 2025, I just want to look to Councillor Marty Beelan. Marty's got some experience in that. Marty, have you heard anything more about that, about bees losses in 2025?
There was a lot this past year over the winter. They're still working on why we're losing so many bees, but yeah, the bee population is down.
Yes.
They're dying all over the place. I myself think it's the pesticide use, but they're still working on it.
Okay.
I do have one question later.
Well, I'll get you in a second, because you guys didn't put up your hands earlier, so I'm going. Question for Dan. Dan, in regards to the bylaw about, I guess Alan brought this up. Bylaw has no responsibility for property owners for the property in front of their property. Maybe Alan, you could explain that, or Dan, do you understand what that concern is there? It was a little unknown to me because Al, you spoke about it not being clear about the fact that property owners have a responsibility to maintain their property in front of their property, and do we have that in our road use bylaw somewhere?
So in bylaw number 1798, in the definitions of yard, it means the land other than publicly owned land around or pertinent to the whole or any part of a building or accessory building, and includes vacant property. But again, it's other than publicly owned land. And then in, let's see if I have it here or not, the other bylaw is 1144. There's actually a section 9.1 where it's got exemption. Nothing in this bylaw applies to the lands or properties owned by the corporation of the township of Clearview. So the issue that happens, if ever you have to defend your bylaws and you have bylaws that specifically exclude you, it puts you at a disadvantage because it's do as I say, not as I do, basically. And there are lands that are township owned lands. They're allowed to go wild, and they border onto roads where lots are right next door to it.
Okay.
And and this allows you to do that. But if somebody else wanted to do something on their property and let the same thing happen, how can you say it's okay for you to do it, but it's not okay for somebody else to do it?
Okay, without getting into a big legal description, and I'm going to ask my clerk to speak to this before Dan does. Many of our bylaws are written that state in it that the township is exempt from the bylaw.
Right.
And that's one of the challenges that many of our bylaws, not specifically this one, and I'll give you a small example. The sign bylaw, you know, those beautiful signs that have all those letters and you can change them around and you put them at the corner up there by the Esso station here in Stainer? Not supposed to be there. Okay? But we can put it there to promote things that are happening in the township because we're exempt from the bylaw. You understand?
Yep.
That's just how the bylaw system works. But anyway, Madam Clerk, you want to speak to that, and then Dan?
Yes, thank you, Worship. I think you kind of summed it up perfectly there. So yeah, we always have an exemption clause in most of our bylaws. It doesn't mean we abuse that exemption clause. So for example, although there is a section 9 in our clean and clear, under title and scope under section 1, it does say public lands as well. So you won't come in front of the township building here and we're not going to have grass that's over 12 inches tall. Same with the arena, same with the tourism building, any of our facilities. Roadways are a bit different. Dan would be able to speak to the maintenance standards there when they go and do the brushing of the roadways, and that's for legality reasons, so you can see when you're turning off of corner roads and things like that. That's different than facilities, the roadways.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm in Creedmoor, know that the best. The pumping station on Mary Street, there's an empty lot between that and the new subdivision on Mary Street. It's allowed to go wild. And I don't know the plants, but I bet you if you go through it, you will find some wild native plants. You'll also find some noxious weeds in there. You know, it's just, and it goes, and it's not just on the boulevard, it's a lot. It's right next to brand new houses that are beautifully manicured lawns.
Dan, you want to say anything?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. And I can only speak to the road allowance, because that's my area. So regulation 23902 of the Municipal Act sets out the requirements for the municipality's responsibilities as it goes to maintenance of the road, which includes the right of way. So anywhere from your property line to the next property line, there's requirements for the municipality to maintain or we call them minimum maintenance standards, but they're maintenance standards. So uh, you, Alan, you had referenced sidewalks for one. So the responsibility in this municipality, anyway, there's no responsibility of the landowner to shovel the sidewalk in front of their property. It falls to the municipality. Same was, grass cutting is another one. So grass cutting on the roadside, grass cutting, potholes, you name it. There, the whole list of things that we're required to do, and we're being held to a standard that's set out in the municipal act. So those standards are in there, and we meet those standards on a daily basis as it goes from summer to winter maintenance to all those maintenance responsibilities. So people often, as you had mentioned, people often choose to maintain their property right to either the curb or the edge of the road or things like that. In all reality, they're not required to. That is the municipalities, and that's why we do, in the summer, we do roadside maintenance. We're required to cut and keep clear a certain distance from the shoulder of the road to the edge, or from the curb over. So that's where that falls into, and that's why we don't necessarily need a bylaw, because that regulation would supersede the bylaw.
There you go. I've got three other points I just want to bring up, and these are notes that I made for me. Brenna, you said the word subjectivity. To be frank, that's exactly the issue here. It's all about subjectivity, whether it's, somebody likes it, somebody doesn't like it. We're all different people. On today, there's an election, so we all have our rights to exercise our democratic right to put forward our opinion. But the subjectivity issue is a difficult one. If we were in Newfoundland and St. John's, and we went down that beautiful street in St. John that every house was a different color, there are some people that don't like that. Some people want them all to be white. Some people want them all to be green. It's true. And yet it's probably one of the biggest icons in St. John, Newfoundland, isn't it? To see those beautiful houses, all those multiple beautiful colors. So it's subjectivity. There's some people that don't like baseball being played indoors. They like to have outdoor games, should be outdoor all the time. And that's subjectivity. It's just whether they like it or not. So that's going to be a very difficult thing for all of us as residents to just be patient and understand each other and know that subjectivity is not something that we can, fix. We can do our best just to get along and understand each other and do it with respect. The other thing I want to say is there's no doubt in my mind, and this is not the only bylaw that comes up, with great respect to our staff, our bylaws do need to be updated to have better and more precise language in them. I do believe that there's some bylaws that were written going back into the zeros, 06, 07, 08, that were literally just put together pretty loosely, honestly. And I don't mind telling you, frankly, that I've reviewed some of them myself, thinking, well, it's not causing any problems, so we got other things to deal with. So it's a priority, but it's now moved down my priority list. But you're absolutely right. The clarity in the language of our bylaws needs to be updated. And certainly 1798 and 1144 are two that could do with a little updating, particularly on herbage. I smiled when you said that because I kind of thought, I think I remember hearing about that. So anyway, and the last thing I want to state too is that, Clearview Township has, if you remember many months ago, we went through a great process to create our strategic plan. And we did the 5 capitals, and we went on many, many great meetings all across the township. And we met with some of you that are sitting here with us today. And we come up with the 5 priorities of the township of Clearview. And the last one is that we're always going to be supporting agriculture as our prime business in our community. That's what Clearview is. That's what, it certainly is. Agriculture is we have to continue to support agriculture as a prime business in our community. And so an activity that's bringing economic wealth and jobs and prosperity to all of our residents. So that's one of the things we have to keep as a focus at all times. Those are just the 3 items that I wanted to bring up from this discussion. It's been great. I'm looking forward to the new bylaw. Now I will open it back up to the floor. Marty, you had a question.
Thank you, Your Worship. Wow, you did a lot of work. I think this is going to work. I'm glad our township is working on a new package. I know I was there February 10th. And my one concern, and still my concern, the pollinator gardens does not overrule the safety, and that's what you said there. I know Jim had a picture of, I believe it was in New Brunswick, where there was an intersection. There was stuff growing up you couldn't see. Doesn't matter if it's pollinator plant, hedge, sign, you got to see at intersections. So in your report here, it says a corner visibility triangle, and it explains 5.4 meters, which is 17.7 feet. Most towns use 7.5 meters, which is 25 feet. Ottawa uses 40 meters. So I think our town needs to be happy with what we choose as the dimension to use there for an open sight line. I wish the province set a standard, but it doesn't seem that they do. So I don't know where you got the 5.4 from, but I think my advice is let's be happy with our intersections that we have good sight lines. That's all I have to say.
Great, thank you very much. Do you want to say something?
Yeah.
And then I'll go
so-
to another question. Go ahead, Al.
I just wanted to respond to, so the subjectivity, I mean, I think
Yes.
we've already addressed that, but in the, in the draft bylaw, I think that whenever you're writing it, you should try to take as much as humanly possible, all subjectivity out of it.
As
It
best as
should be
you can.
referencing to, guidelines on what are weeds, what are noxious weeds. It shouldn't be about whether it's pretty or whether I like it or don't like it. It should be about health and safety, and it should reference specific things that can be identified. One of the concerns I have is whoever's enforcing your bylaws, they have to be able to address it. And I know in the case in Premor is they were gonna cut all the asters down on somebody's lot thinking they're weeds because they grow in ditches.
Yeah.
But they're also a top pollinator native plant.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of having it defined, so you take the subjectivity out of it.
Yep.
And if people don't like it, well, that's just something, if they don't own the land, they really can't say too much about it. And then the table for the bylaws, there is a big table in there where a lot of work's gone in, and we've shown one little slice of it, but it's multi-pages where Brenna has sliced and diced that, taken every bit of language that could be misinterpreted, explained why it could be misinterpreted, and suggested changes. And it's a fantastic document. You should take the time to actually look at it because it points out every little thing that could be misinterpreted.
I get it. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to Marty's point, and obviously we do need to keep sightlines clear, and there isn't a great, I couldn't find standard guidance anywhere. The only thing I could find was for vertical sightlines was from Transport Canada, which said that everything above 1.5 meters, because that's the average sightline of a vehicle driving, needed to be clear. Guelph has incorporated in their guidance, they actually have a diagram of sightline triangle, and their guidance is quite clear on that. So the Guelph bylaw might be quite helpful to reference. But I just want to make sure that we're clear that when we're talking about sightlines too, it doesn't mean that you can't have anything there. It means it can't be above a certain height. As long as you can see, then it's not a sightline issue, right? So.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Most places use 0.75 meters, which is what, 2 feet? So
Yeah, everything I've seen has been anywhere between it's 0.75 and 1 meter. So there, it's different amongst, if you go through all the examples in here, they're all somewhere between there. A couple places say 1.5 actually, but that's high, that's unusual. So.
Okay. I just want to quickly go back to Alan, then I'm going to go to Sasha, our clerk. That's why I said our bylaws need to be updated with precise language to answer the question. Okay? You know, what is a weed? I don't know about you guys, but I want you to know the most prolific weed that we need to get rid of in this entire township is the Manitoba maple tree. They're a mess.
They
Look
are
at the mess we've got from these trees that have fallen down everywhere, you know, with all this ice. A lot of Manitoba maples. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Worship, through you to the presenters. So actually, the province has defined weeds for us. Under the OREG, under the
Yep.
Weed Control Act, they've defined the weeds. That's why you don't see it in our bylaw. We don't normally put provincial legislation word for word within our bylaw because they can change it at any time, which means we have to amend our bylaw. So that is what our bylaw officers follow, is the Weed Control Act. I think there's about 25 listed there. You can have local weeds, but we're mostly concerned with tall grass. Like that is our main concern, which is the herbage that you speak to. I just want to make reference to our fence and pool enclosure bylaw because we just passed it this year. That one's significant because we did define sight lines in that one. Little bit different because fence is around 6 feet, so not the same as what you're looking for, but we have a 6 meter buffer there. So you can have anything in the front lawn in regards to fences. So it is something that we do take serious, and it's something we will have to approach when we're developing an encroachment on in this form and fashion.
Go ahead.
Just read that. Yeah, I wonder if maybe it would just be worth, like, what I suggest in the bylaw is just not putting word for word what those plants are, but just referencing any plants that exist in the Ontario, the Weed Act. I think, what is it? The number of I can't remember the number of the regulation, because it's clear that some bylaw officers that go out there are not clear on that. Because like Alan pointed out, a property owner on his street was told this past summer that she needed to take her New England asters down, and they are by no means a weed. And they were also back on her own property. So obviously somebody was confused about that, but if it's very clear what it is, then she could easily come back and say, well, these are New England asters. They're not on this list. It's not a weed. And then it's case closed. It's not a problem, right? And then everybody's clear on what's expected. So even just referencing, here's your list can be found here, and they can go and look at it, and then it's.
Go ahead, Sasha.
And thank you for that. And it's not a perfect science. And a lot of our bylaw officers, it's a training and it's working and looking through that. But provincial legislation trumps our municipal bylaws. So that's why you just won't see the reference in there of the specific ones. But training is definitely something that we can work on, especially when you guys have made a presentation today and just knowing what is a weed and what is not. And our bylaw officers just go out and they go based on complaints. They don't just go to people's houses for the sake of, that's on a proactive bylaw that we go in. It's based on complaints. So yeah, it's a learning experience for everyone. I think that's where we could probably do better.
Yeah, that's great. And also, we are very happy as a group to offer any sort of, if your bylaw officers or any staff are interested in any sort of a presentation on these different native plants and how to identify them, we'd be very happy to provide that as well, if that's helpful in terms
Thank
of
you for that
training.
offer. Yeah. Okay, so that's all I have on my paper. Is there other questions? Is there other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, Paul's got one. And
I'll
then
just make a
John
comment
Williams.
and
Okay, go ahead.
I appreciate it, Alan. I really like what you said there about subjectivity. Myself as a farmer, and we've got a fellow farmer here, there's always a fine line between weeds for a farmer versus weeds as a gardener, in simple terms. And by taking away the subjectivity out of the equation, it will help both parties, because we're going to see an extension of people saying, well, we can put gardens on our boulevards. Well, we can put them on the sides of roads. It's going to become, we got to deal with some of these issues. And I guess with that, I'm saying I'm looking forward to see what our staff brings forward, because we will be looking at all the users of the community, and farmers are very sensitive to a lot of these issues. So thank you for the presentation.
Okay.
And I want to just
Alan.
thank you for this process, being able to speak like this, not being pressured or rushed or saying you have 30 seconds left. It's greatly appreciated. I mean, I've never felt rushed here.
Good.
Maybe I should be, but so I do
Rushed a little.
appreciate.
No, you did a fine job. No. Quite seriously, back about public participation period itself, I've rarely cut people off. I think none. I mean, the reality is, it's like we go past 15 minutes many times. Okay. And as far as the time to do this, it's up to the chair of the meeting and the mayor as to how long I let the presenters go. So is there anything else you want to talk to me about today, Al?
If we'd been really boring, would you have been like, you're done? Your 10
No,
minutes was done 5 minutes ago.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome back anytime. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
All right, council, looking ahead on the agenda, if I can get myself straightened around here, item number 6 is public meetings and there are no items. And item number 7 is the approval of the council meeting minutes. So be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the April 14, 2025 council meeting as presented. Councillor Walker is not participating. Is there a mover and seconder? Mr. Broderick, Mr. MacArthur, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that carries. Thank you. And moving on to number 8, correspondence items for information. We do have a report from closed session and everybody's leaving, so they don't want to hear it. It's okay. I guess we're the boring ones now. There you go. Trina. Hi, Trina. It's nice to see you. Council did meet in closed session and we came up with this resolution. This recommendation says, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby directs staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the Klondike Park Road well site, reservoir and pumping station project. I'll take a mover and seconder, please. Deneen and Beelan, thank you so much. Members of council, you've got the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on, item 8.2. There's the bursary program, which is always awesome. I think we participate in that. We're part of that. And then county councilors move closer to changing council size. That's something we can talk about. Paul, do you want to just do a quick outline for members of council on how that all went down on at our last council meeting? County council meeting?
Thank you, Your Worship. Last Tuesday, we had our meeting, and of course, the governance is the big hot item at county council right now. And for those who've been following or haven't been, the intent is, or the request right now is to go to 16 councillors plus 1 warden being a full-time individual. And how that works, we don't know yet. The concern, and I think most people are getting over it, the concern, however, is how do we deal with the weighted vote? And that concern, we'll be having a presentation to council very shortly, I would say in the next month.
Yeah.
That Simcoe County, because we need triple majority to change our governance, it will be coming back to a council decision in this council and every other of the 16 other member municipalities. And we need 67% for that to pass, which will include both the reduction in councillors as well as other items or potentially other items. So I'll just say we look forward to it. It's at our governance committee right now to deal with and bring a recommendation forward as far as the dealing with the weighted votes concerns, and we've asked for that. So that is supposed to come back before we get sent to council. But well, Doug, if you want to add anything more to that, I think.
Well, everything you said was correct with one exception, and that was that the report that we did receive at council is the report that our lower tier municipalities will be receiving. And so the recommendation that is asked for by the governance committee, which meets tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, by the way, I'll be there. The governance committee will be reviewing when a weighted vote can be used. So for instance, currently the procedure bylaw allows at the county, when a recorded motion is called, the weighted vote is applied immediately, as in every recorded motion has a weighted vote option. So we're going to look at how we could or whether we should make any changes to that procedure, which we can bring into effect just with a vote of council at this house, and it can become in effect immediately. And it will be carried through to the next council unless they change it as well. But like I was saying, Paul, you're not going to get that information changed by the time it appears in front of all the lower tier municipalities. So the clerk and I met today, and maybe Sasha, you can outline that you've received some information from the county to move us ahead with this project. You want to speak to that for a minute?
Thank you, Worship. We received official notice from the county last week via a letter. They're looking from the lower tier municipalities by June 30th to make a decision whether you consent or not to the bylaw. You can't pick apart the bylaw, so you can't pick version or portions of the bylaw that you agree with. It's all or nothing with this. So I will be presenting a report at the May 26th meeting with the proposal and recommendation for consent of the bylaw. If council doesn't want to pass the bylaw, then it would be a defeated motion at that point. But that is what the county's looking for from us at this point. I will be providing background information reports from the county. They've done up a really great fact sheet for us clerks. They also did a training session with us on Friday and today, just kind of giving us a background in the history of it, where the weighted vote came from, and some common questions that they're getting from their county councilors, so we're able to answer them.
Okay, so does that help, Paul? Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, no, excuse me, I messed up on that a little bit. but
Sorry.
The one thing for everybody to know, right now with the weighted vote, there's 145 votes out there. Clearview gets 6. Okay, so in perspective, we're a small community. It's based on the number of electorate. And so there's the strongest municipalities are Innisfil with 16, New Tecumseh with 16, Bradford with 14, and Wasaga Beach with 12. So when you go to 6 members, they could potentially control the council. So anyways, we'll look forward to hearing the reports as Sasha has
Yeah, it's gonna
indicated.
be quite a
And,
discussion.
And it's going to be a challenge to get this possibly put through. So anyways, that's about our composition.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul, for that, and glad we had that discussion. Thank you, Sasha. Let's see here. Also is item number 8.4. April the 27th through to May the 3rd is National Volunteer Appreciation Week, and we did a resolution or a proclamation on that. Well done, volunteers. I know Clearview has a lot of wonderful volunteers all over our township that serve our citizens very well. At this point, then we're going to go to our council reports and community announcements. So ward reports. The arrow is currently directed towards Mr. Walker. I know you weren't here for our last meeting because I know you had a family concern, but I'm glad you're back. And do you have anything you'd like to report, Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to go back to the 13th of April. My wife and I attended the mat bowling tournament at the arena. 16 bowlers, 4 mats in use. And I'd just like to say to Terry to pass on to Dylan and Courtney for all their hard work, and there was a lot of positive comments from participants and from the spectators. There were about half a dozen or so spectators there watching and enjoying, and they looked to be having a great time with the tournament. And I think they're looking forward to another one next year, from what I was hearing from the participants and the spectators. And then I'd like to just go to April the 25th. I attended the Clearview Community Theater concert. And all I would like to say is to the children's troupe, youth troupe, ukulele troupe, and the open troupe, a job well done, and congratulations to all that were involved in putting that together and participating in that concert as a fundraiser for the Clearview Community Theater. Meetings are next week, library and accessibility, and that's it, Your Worship, at this point in time.
All right. Thank you very much. Glad to hear that the bowling was a big success, and I saw the coverage of that actually in By the Bay magazine. They did a nice little piece on that, so that was really great. Good job. Mr. Beelan, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, Your Worship. April 16th, the Station on the Green met, and we welcomed 2 new members, one of which spoke quite a bit tonight. April 22nd was Earth Day. I picked up some garbage on the side of the road. April 23rd, the Climate Action Committee met unofficially to discuss Earth Day activities. April 25th, we went to Toronto and watched Come From Away. I really recommend that. It's playing till May 4th. April 27th, I went to Eco Park to do a little bit of cleaning up, and it was nice to see the swans out. It was a beautiful day there. And I want to remind everyone, May 15th is the Tulip Days, and yours truly is the MC, and I promise to speak a little Dutch again. Thanks.
Save me some moly woolly. Councilor Janine.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nottawa Hall, we're on our 3rd bin of scrap metal, and I want to thank Councillor Beelan for his donation this evening. He had a cash donation for us for the scrap metal drive. We've rehomed numerous bicycles, and it's been great. It really has been great so far. May 4th is Library Days at the hall. They had to, as I said before, forego Easter weekend. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 20th. We're actively looking for hall member board volunteers. So if anyone out there has some time to do that, we greatly welcome you just to even come to our meeting and see how much fun we are. June 17th will be the next Untroon Hall meeting. I don't see anything in our calendar for May, so I'm not sure on that. And finally, I just want to say congratulations to Oma and Opa Van Staveren on
Oh, yes.
child. And that.
Grandpa Van Staveren,
Thank you.
yes.
My daughter had a little baby girl on Friday morning, so we are no.
That's
grandparents,
awesome.
so,
So wonderful.
yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Phyllis, before we go, can you just explain again about the rehoming of bicycles? Like I think it's a great program, but take a minute and just explain how that works.
Okay, so everybody knows that little bicycles especially they get outgrown before they're worn out. So if anybody has a rideable bicycle, if they want to just park it at our bin or put it along the fence, we will keep them out of the scrap bin. We'll even keep parts out of the scrap bin. And if nobody takes them by the time the next bin goes, we'll put them in the bin. But any rideable bicycles, tricycles, we've had scooters, and if somebody puts them in, I pull them back out and put them right out front again. And everything has managed, anything and everything has managed to disappear if it is usable. So it's a great way to recycle things, and we welcome any rideable bicycles, even parts, because bicycle seats seem to be a rare commodity
That's
these
true,
days.
yeah.
They disappear. But yeah, it's been a great program for us, and I hope everybody's enjoying their bicycles.
Thank you for that. Good job. Well done, volunteers. Paul, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to go back to County Council first. And some of the stuff of interest to our community. The county has been able to add some road improvements or found additional monies to do some additional road improvements. So the ones that were on the top of the list, we would say, is the upgrading of County Road 10 from Angus over to Brentwood. And I've communicated with Director Dan about this. I'm pushing them a bit to try and encourage them to make County Road 10 a full load road. He says, yeah, Paul, it's in the potential works, but from an economic driver point of view, at some point in time, it would be nice to have County Road 10 full load road. I plant that seed, and that's all I can do for now. We keep talking about it. Exciting news for the families of this community. The county has come out with a new childcare dashboard. And what it's under, if anybody wants to go see it, it's open.simco.ca. And it's looking to provide daycare, to tell people where daycare sites are available. And they're directed, right now, we've been directed to get 49 spaces for Clearview within our program. And it's called the CWELC, or some people know it as the $10 a day daycare, Canada-wide early learning and childcare. Right now, the program is being put to a 60-40 split. In other words, 60% for nonprofit, 40% for profit. So they're looking for operators to apply. They have until May 5th to apply, but the program is out there, and please take advantage of it to represent our community. So the county, the dashboard's really neat. We got a presentation on it.
Yes.
To show, and there's a little bit of polishing to do yet, but you can see where daycare sites are available, and they break it down into three: I would say infants, young
Toddlers,
preschoolers,
preschoolers.
sort of thing. So, anyways, that's what's new going on at county. As far as NVCA, I was there last Friday. The exciting part, we've now got e-permits, and it went live as of last Thursday, apparently, on issuing permits now with electronically as well. So it's very exciting. Hopefully, it's one more step in being able to speed up the permitting process. I was advised that it will save an average of 2 weeks per person who works on these projects per year. Good. Because they're not repopulating the same information all the time. This Tuesday coming, May 6th, I believe that is, there's the group will be the Friends of the Mad and Company, and NBC will be down at Crothers Park. They're doing a tree planting. There is, they have tickets available on, is it Bright Spark they call it? Yeah, Bright Spark. Eventbrite, whatever. Go on the NVCA site, you'll see them. I'm going to be down there for a little bit. We do have a new person has been hired who took over from Fred Dodds, who has presented this council last year. We've got another gentleman, Paul, as well. And anyway, so I'll be meeting him next week I'll be from 5 till 7 next Tuesday at the Carruthers Park. And that is for my two things. Great.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Opa.
Thank you.
Very nice. Mr. MacArthur.
Thank you, Your Worship. Hence your interest in daycare.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking that very point. Yeah.
Very late on the 16th, we had another Streetscapes committee meeting, and we're getting real close to having a couple of proposals put together there, and hopefully bring out to a public meeting sometime in, I think we're aiming for the first part of June. So that'll be good to look forward to, some real ingenious ideas, and I think some of them will be really good. And then on the 25th, the log cabin had a quick meeting and a work party to clean up around the place in anticipation of our Queen Victoria birthday party on the long weekend on Saturday, the 17th, I believe. So everybody look forward to coming out and celebrating Queen Victoria's birthday, who is unbeknownst in the room at this moment, but we won't reveal her. Thank you.
We want photographs. Thank you. Mr. Broderick.
Mine's pretty light too. April the 15th, attended the Creemore Library Board meeting. Also on the 15th, did I say Creemore? Sorry, Clearview Library Board meeting. Also on the 15th, attended the Clearview Chamber of Commerce Board meeting. The 17th, attended the Clearview Chamber of Commerce Business After 5, hosted by Habitat for Humanity at the new build on Christopher Street. That was several of us from council were there. That's quite a program, and it's really nice to see that come together.
No kidding.
And tomorrow evening is the Creemore BIA meeting.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I just have a couple quick things I want to mention. On Sunday, Tracy and I were at Eco Park. Councillor Beelan was there, so we're members of the Ferguson family, and many volunteers and many community organizations were there at Eco Park to do a community park cleanup, kind of an Earth Day activity, although Earth Day was on the Monday and we did this on the Sunday, but that's okay. It got done. And two things. I was very impressed that there wasn't as much garbage there in the past. I think people are cleaning up after themselves. I know that our bins there are often filled with either people just taking stuff out of their car and dumping it, or maybe they're picking it up along the trail. So I was impressed that we did obviously find some refuse that needed to be cleaned up, but I wasn't overwhelmed with it, and I was impressed with that. So it was kind of nice. The second thing about it too, the swans are absolutely beautiful. Please do not bother the swans. They can be little testy animals if you get too close to them. But we did witness the big male come walking up onto the trail. It was kind of a neat sight to see and they're a big animal when you see them come out of the water. They're big. So we saw that happen while we were there. That was pretty neat. So anyway, I want to mention that was a really good event, and congratulations to the people that run the gardens over there. Carol and her team of wonderful volunteers have a great season ahead of them, and looking forward to the work that they do. The other thing I want to mention, of course, is our friends over at the Sunnydale Community Center held a fantastic pancake breakfast on Sunday morning, and the volunteers were fantastic, as always. And they used the new facilities. People that were in there were saying, "Oh, golly, this place looks great." I mean, it's a nice new renovation, and a lot of people who had not been in since the renovation were there. It was well attended, and great compliments to the people from Sunnydale Hall. Marianne Bowie, you guys know her. She's an amazing volunteer. She was greeting us all at the door with hugs and jokes and laughs, and she was great. She's a terrific volunteer. No, she didn't. She didn't tell us to take off her shoes, but, you know, she was watching us, that's for sure. Yes, oh, she does. She takes great pride in the place. There's no doubt. And it was a great, wonderful event to go there. And Paul was there with his wife and a bunch of neighbors, and so it was a great time.
I just want to
Paul, yeah,
mention,
good.
I just want to mention, it was nice that we had former Councillor Connie Leishman there and her husband volunteering. And they're up in the peninsula now in Owen Sound, north of Owen Sound. So it was really nice to see them back, and it was like a homecoming for them, but they were there working, not only socializing.
That's where I was going to get to on this.
Oh,
was
were you?
that they-
Okay.
That's so great that they were there.
Yeah.
And Connie was really pleased to see the facility and tour it and so on, and it just looks great. So a few questions were asked of me while I was there, by the way, about the evening hall, to which I said, yes, the evening hall will be done this year. Yes, it will be open. You know, it's coming along. And so, yes, it was a good discussion, and nice to hear people really interested in all that. What was the thing? There was something else that come to mind. If it comes up, I've just forgotten it right now. So I'm going to skip by that one for now. And thank everybody for their input and all the work that you're doing representing Clearview at all your committees. Thanks, people. Now, I'm going to move on to our item number 10, our department reports. And I would hope that the Treasury Department are ready, because we've got a big item here on our agenda, folks. Report. FIN 009 2025. It's the 2025 budget package. All right. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report FIN 009 2025, the budget package for 2025 dated April 28th, 2025. And item 1, that Council approve the 2025 budget package for a net tax increase of 3.71%. Mr. Deputy Mayor. You move that. Thank you. Mr. Broderick, thank you on the second. All right. Kelly, the budget process.
Right from the beginning?
Well, sure. We have
Thank
had a
you,
good
Worship.
process. We had, great presentations from all of our departments. We had some good input from a couple of members of the public. We reviewed many of the items that were in there. And we also were very fortunate that the Solicitor General's office saw the opportunity for us as all Ontario municipalities that are served by the OPP to reduce that impact that was, leaning over top of everyone's budget. So Kelly, how we doing? You happy with the budget?
Thank you, Worship. Yes, this is a culmination of over 6 months worth of work between staff and council and meetings and workshops and public input and questions. And this year was absolutely fantastic. We actually got good public participation, and we've come to you with the package for approval. Thank you, Your Worship. If I might just add, I will be doing a session with MFOA on the actual strong mayor powers as it relates to the budget process. So.
Okay, so we're looking forward to that. And we're looking forward to continuing the great work that we do in the budget process here. And so thank you. It'll be interesting. Okay. Get to move on, folks, to the building department. We have PB 013 2025, the 2020 and 2024 building department annual fee report. Scott McLeod, our chief building official, is here. I'll put it on the floor with be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 013 2025. It's the 2024 building department annual fee report dated April 28th, 2025 for information. Is there a mover and seconder? Deneen and Walker, thank you so much. Hello, Mr. McLeod. Speak up.
Good
There you go.
evening, Your Worship and Council. Yes, this is the annual report that we are mandated to bring before council on an annual basis. Essentially, the outcome of the report is that we did have a deficit last year, but we did plan for that, and we do have a reserve specifically designed to offset those years. And with that in mind, the shortfall of the deficit last year came from our reserves. So the report outlines the amount of the deficit and where our reserve stands at this time. Certainly happy to entertain any questions from council regarding that.
Excellent. Other questions? Paul, do you have one?
Scott, I believe it's a typo on page 3, lines 1, 2, and 3, both refer to 2023. Total building permit and septic permit fees received. Should that be 2024?
To your worship, yes, you're correct. I
Okay.
apologize for that typo.
Okay. Will you talk at all about, are we going to expect the same losses coming forward this year? Our discussion at NVCA the other day about permitting, everybody's down right now. Are we seeing the same thing? We're going to expect a loss again this year?
Through your worship, in fact, we budgeted for that for this year because we anticipate it based on what we know in terms of our servicing level. Obviously, is impacting our permits as well, but the economic conditions are such that the number of permits, as you mentioned, are down across the board with all our member municipalities as well.
Yeah, no, that's what seems to be the trend, and we'll be hopefully, we at least could talk about now about servicing some of our community, but everybody in the whole region is being pinched right now. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Other members of council with questions? Yes, Mr. Beelan?
Thank you, Worship. I know there was talk at one time of maybe lowering the fees because our surplus was growing too fast, but it looks like we're probably where we want to be then for fees.
Again, through your worship, we are actually currently working on a new fee bylaw to bring before council. We're not really looking at reducing the fees, but we are looking at aligning some of them and updating it and actually clarifying the bylaws. So we do anticipate still bringing that forward to council in the future, but we weren't really looking to lower it. But we were looking at putting some provisions in the bylaw to limit the amount that it does increase. Currently, our bylaw is indexed, but there's no upper limit on that index. And while normally the indexing is around 2 or 3%, some members of council may recall, and I think 2021 during the COVID period, the construction index was like 16% or something like that. So that impacted a number of other fees that the municipality had, and so we're looking at bringing forward into the new bylaw something that will limit that, like maybe an upper limit of 3% or something like that, even though the construction index may be higher than that.
All right, thank you. Other members with questions? Yes, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, I'm just wondering with the lower numbers and whatnot, is there any need for, or is there any talk of staffing levels needing to be adjusted accordingly?
Through your worship, certainly it's something that we're always aware of. We are aware of some stuff within the building department that will perhaps help us with that situation. We will be dealing with one staff member that will be on leave for a year. So there are some sort of natural things that are occurring that will help us with that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any other members? Nope. Seeing none. Thank you, Scott. Don't go away. But council, we do have a motion with the mover and seconder. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you so much. Your next report is the building activities report for January through March of this year. So be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 014-2025, Building Department Activities Report from January to March 2025, dated April 28th, 2025, for information. Moved by Mr. MacArthur, seconded by Mr. Broderick. All right. Anything else you want to tell us about this term or this year?
Yeah. So again, similar to the previous report, it is illustrating in terms of where we are. Again, the first quarter of the year is not typically a good reflection of the year, but it is on trend with where we were last year. We're slightly lower than last year at the same time period. But again, it's what we sort of anticipated for this year. As well, the report does highlight some staff achievements in terms of training. So again, when we're not as busy, we are able to focus on training enhancements, that sort of thing. And so we've been following through with that. And it also highlights that we've been dealing with some of the building code changes and working with the public and sort of informing them on the building trades. And as well, we're working through our septic reinspection program now. This year is the start of the next cycle, and the notification to property owners that are impacted this year has gone out, and we're working with them now. Now that the snow is gone, we can go to the site and do an inspection of their septic to make sure that it's functioning properly. As well, one of the things, and it's not listed here, but we've been working on continuously is closing out old building permit files. We have multiple years of open files, and as time allows, we always go back and review our existing building permit files. And so right now, each inspector has sort of a year assigned to them that they're working through, and we're having great success with closing that out.
Good work. That's good. Members of council, any questions to Scott? Yes, Paul?
2 questions, Scott. Under your permit issued by type, when you talk about non-residential, does that cover commercial and industrial?
It does. Yes.
So we only had 4 applications this year so far, which hopefully we'll tweak as we go along. You just hit on an interesting point about open permits. I had a constituent talk to me the other day about it, and just for clarification, I told him, number one, if they sell a property, is it not the responsibility of the lawyer to ask or request the township if there is an open permit, or who's responsible for that in a transfer of a property?
Through your worship, certainly anyone purchasing a property, it's their responsibility to be informed, and most do that through their lawyer to be informed about what they're purchasing. And typically what we see here in the municipality is compliance letters. So we provide service through both the building department and the planning department, where a request can come through a lawyer representing you on the purchase of a property, and we would give them information about the status of any open building permits, whether there's any outstanding work orders related to the property regarding building permits. What I would say has occurred over the period of time is when I certainly first started with the municipality, every property went through a compliance letter pretty much with every sale. It's not the case now, but it is starting to sort of increase in terms of the number of sales. So sometimes on purchase of sales, the lawyers go through title insurance. So they sell the property owner on title insurance instead of doing their deal, instead of checking with the municipality to find out whether there are any open or active building permits. So yes, one of the challenges we have when we're reaching out to people, and it's 5 years or greater, in terms of closing out a building permit, we're often dealing with a new property owner who does not know that they bought a property with an open permit.
Thank
So
you.
it does become a bit of a challenge.
I would think the onus should be on the purchaser's lawyer, but I mean, if a person sells something, let the buyer beware, so to speak. But if nobody asks it as a regular question, yeah, we get stuck with the mud on our face, we'll say sometimes. So good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there other members of council with any questions? Nope. Seeing none, I'm prepared to call the motion then. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, you've got another report here. PB 018, Delegated and Other Planning Act Approval Summary. Okay, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 018, 2025, Delegated and Other Planning Act Approval Summary for April 2025, and it's dated April 28th, 2025 for information. Okay, a mover and seconder, Mr. Broderick, is there a seconder? Mr. Walker, thank you very much. Who is speaking on this? Is that you, Amy? Or is it, oh, Colin, how are you? Hi, Colin.
Hello, Mayor.
Nice to have you. Welcome to the mic. Go right ahead.
Oh, hello, Mayor and members of council. That's all.
You have anything you want to say about this report?
Nothing particularly for this one.
Okay, thank you very much. Any members of council with any questions to call on or the staff on this? No questions? Okay. You enjoying working here?
I am.
Attaboy. I know you're a new guy here, but thanks very much. Good to see you. All right, members of council, you got a motion in front of you. Is there any questions? Seeing none, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Well done. Getting off easy.
Next time we'll get it.
All right. Okay, Amy, get a heavier report next time, okay? Thanks, Colin. We're just teasing you. All right, where are we at? We're at bylaws already. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Okay, bylaw. Here's a nice one, the old tax rate bylaw. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 2529, being a bylaw to set the tax rates and levy taxes for the year 2025, be presented, read a first, second, and third time, finally passed the 28th day of April, 2025. Moved by the Deputy Mayor. Thank you. I'm going to move over to this side. Councillor Deneen, thank you. And Council, you've heard the bylaw. Any questions? I'll call the bylaw. All in favor? Carries unanimous. Thank you. Zoning bylaw amendment for 100 Grand Trunk Road. Okay. Be it resolved that bylaw 2530, being a bylaw to regulate the use of lands and character, location, and use of building structures on portions of lands municipally known as 100 Grand Trunk Road, Township of Clearview, legally described as Plan 51M1250 BLK 121. From what's BLK? It's just block? Okay, so add a couple letters, right? Oh, come on. BLOCK. Oh, good. Okay, I got it. Formerly Nottawasaga, now Township of Clearview, be presented, read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, 28th day of April, 2028. Mr. Walker, thank you. Mr. Beelan, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I'm prepared to call the bylaw. All in favor? And the bylaw carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We're at notice of motion and new business. And if not, yes, you like something to say?
I was just thinking, I wonder if we could have an update on the storm cleanup, or if there is an update, Dan or Public Works, or.
Good call. Let's go to there. Dan, how's the, I was up in Singhampton and noticed a lot of brush along the side of the road, realizing that it's a county road. I saw that. But then on the other side road, the other road right by the hall, there was definitely some brush there. So are we still doing some pickup?
We're working as hard as we can. Our contractor's still going out there. I am putting together some numbers for council, see where we're at as far as financially, and where we're gonna land. Still pushing the county to come help us out. I think they're avoiding us, to be honest with you. You know, they committed to Ramara and Oro and some of those what we call harder hit areas, and still pushing to get the county to come up and help us up that way, especially with the brush removal.
Okay.
As council knows, you know, a lot of our 3031 side road fell apart on us. We're still working. We're 3 weeks at that road, still trying to repair it. The more we dig, the more issues we're finding with just veins of clay and crap in there. Sorry,
That's okay.
stuff.
To be fair, it's old Nottawasaga Township, so you never know what you're going to find in a road up there. That's a true story.
So
You
we're
never know.
that's a challenging
Yeah.
piece of, you know, we're trying to get that road open. Like all of our roads are open. It's just a matter of cleanup on the brush stuff. So
Okay. All right. Do you have any specific questions you wanted to ask her?
No, I'm just saying on that dig project, if you haven't found the stumps yet, you haven't gone deep enough.
That's so true. It's Nottawasaga roads are famous for that. Yes, Terry would like to say something. Go ahead, Terry.
Thank you, Your Worship. And if I could just provide a very quick update on our parks. There was a considerable amount of work that had to be done in our parks as well. Specifically Centennial Park, you know, you walk by and you think you see a bunch of branches down, but when you actually get to it, you can see there's a lot of trees that came down. So our crew worked really hard last week to get it ready for the big event this weekend.
Yes.
Your Worship, and I'll let you speak about that. But I'm pretty proud of our crew. We tackled that really hard to try to get those trees cleared from the river so the ducks can actually flow down the river properly. So I just wanted to mention a shout out to our team, our recreation maintenance team. They really did a good job last week doing that. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. I know the people that are watching and cheering for the Ducks will be very, very grateful that that's actually working well. Good job. Certainly, if I can, since we're on that topic, when we were at Eco Park, I did note quite a bit of damage there too. You know, on the north side of the roadway that heads into the park, there's a lot of trees down there. Now, I didn't see anything specifically blocking the river, but there is a lot of damage in there. Is there any plan on doing some work in there this year?
Thank you, Your Worship. Not at this time. I did meet NVCA last week, though, because they are doing some restoration work a little further, I guess, north of the river. We were both talking about that. So we're going to let them get the restoration work done. We're going to do our park cleanups, and then we're going to meet again sometime this summer to perhaps put a plan together on how we're going to attack those trees. But yeah, there are some major big trees that fell. You
Yeah.
are correct, Your Worship.
There's still a lot that's hanging up there. And so next windstorm, I'm thinking, you know, this kind of thing could come down. So
Yeah.
I would please ask the public to be very, very cautious around trees, certainly for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what's going to happen in the next little while because there's an awful lot of material that's still broken off but hanging up high. So you got to really watch for it.
Yeah, if folks, if they can stay on the trails,
Yeah.
you know, they'll be fine. It's if they get off the trails and start going into the rivers and stuff.
Fair enough.
It could be, yeah. Thank you, Your Worship.
Any other questions from the staff or council? I think, John, you had your hand up or something?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. You hit on it. I was going to mention Eco Park
Yeah,
because
well,
it's-
we walked right by
Yeah,
together, yes.
Yeah, there's a severe number of trees down and some half down, so your guys have done a great job over at Centennial. If they get a chance to get over there when they have time, I think it would really benefit the area.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Councilor MacArthur, for bringing that up. Appreciate that. If there's nothing further, we can go to our confirmatory bylaw. Be it resolved, bylaw number 2531, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 28, 2025 council meeting be presented or read a first, second, and third time finally passed, 28th day of April 2025. Moved by Deneen, thank you. Beelan, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? Confirmatory bylaw carries unanimous. And I did remember the thing I wanted to say before we adjourn. And that is that a longtime library staff member is retiring. And I want to mention her because she's been here a long time. Glenda Boudreau is, there's a little event happening for her tomorrow at the Creemore branch of the public library. And so we want to thank her and congratulate her on a great service she's done to our community or for our community. And I know that there's many young people that she impacted, and I think that's an absolute wonderful thing to have your career, you know, recognized by the fact that you've impacted young people in a positive way to help them with reading. So Glenda is retiring, and we're going to certainly miss her. So there's a little event tomorrow at the Creemore branch of the Clearview Public Library. That's what I wanted to mention. I remembered it now. Thank you. Motion to adjourn. The time up there says 7:23, but what time is it, Madam Clerk? 7:24. Well, that's easy. Not going backwards anyway. Motion to adjourn, Deputy Mayor and Mr. Broderick. Thank you. All those in favor? And it carries. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.